Hey, we're back. Video number 2. All right, we've discovered the Galilee thing and why Jesus started there. And we've talked about synagogues and how they're similar to Catholic churches and why they were built. We're going to now connect the first 7 Beatitudes, 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit, and what the 8th Beatitude is about, examining Jesus' words in the Old Covenant. And I messed up the slide and forgot to delete 2 things. So here we go. The Beatitudes and the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit. St. Augustine states that the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit correspond with the first 7 Beatitudes, 7 being a number that brings perfection in the Bible. 7 is, we've talked about new biblical numbers. 7 is one that means perfection. The 8th meaning perfection itself, and that is what the 8th Beatitude is about. So here we go, jumping in. Ready. Blessed are the poor in spirit. The spiritual gift tied to that is fear of the Lord. Those who recognize they need God's grace in their life. That's what fear of the Lord means. Fear of the Lord does not mean I'm scared to death of God. Can't have a relationship with somebody you're scared to death with. So fear of the Lord isn't actually being scared of God. It's being scared of life without God. That we know, and God tells us, and Jesus tells us, that he is everything. So blessed are the poor in spirit means that people have humbled themselves so much in spirit that they know that they are nothing without God. So St. Augustine was convinced that only through the depths of pure humility, saying that we cannot live without God, will we find the height of peace. So that is the first beatitude and the first spiritual gift that connects to it. Blessed are those who mourn. That sounds like somebody who's sad, and it is. The spiritual gift tied to that is knowledge. Now, how is mourning tied to knowledge? Those who lament, this is from St. Augustine, those who lament the present state of this life, that includes weeping for sins as well as knowing, there's that word knowing and knowledge, the saints have suffered for their faith. Those with this knowledge will be comforted by God. We have saints who have been martyred, and it should pain us to know that the faith that we celebrate today and the faith that we're learning about today, if we were doing this 1,000 years ago, might have brought us death. We should also be sad to know that we sin and that we are not perfect. So the spiritual gift of knowledge is tied to those who mourn, because those with this knowledge will eventually be comforted by God, who wipes away all of our tears. The third one, blessed are the meek. The spiritual gift here is piety. Accepting God's authority sheds a powerful light on a meek heart. To be meek is to seem powerless. And if we accept God's love and authority, which is being pious, we admit that we are powerless. Being pious means to be reverent or to be religious. If we are reverent to God, that means we know that he's better than us, and being pious ties into that. The earth being inherited is not this earth. When we say, blessed are the meek, they shall inherit the earth, is actually the new earth, which will be heaven. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. The spiritual gift is fortitude. This may seem self-explanatory, but those who hunger for righteousness will need fortitude soon. Only with fortitude can we stand in the face of the struggle against the temptation to give up our search and our hunger for righteousness, to deal honestly with pride when we want to remove God from the center of our lives. So when we get tempted, we need fortitude, much like Jesus in the desert needed strength to say no to the devil. We're going to need to say no to contain and to remain and keep our hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the merciful. Spiritual gift of counsel. How we relate to God is directly related to how we encounter others. The gift of counsel gives us the ability to reach out to others with merciful love. Counsel provides practical and precise direction to concrete, merciful action. Blessed are the pure in heart. Spiritual gift is understanding. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. This is from St. Augustine. How foolish, therefore, are those who seek God with these outward eyes, since he is seen within the heart. For that is a pure heart, which is a single heart. And just as this light cannot be seen except with pure eyes, so neither is God seen unless that is pure by which he can be seen. St. Augustine, what does that all mean? The heart in a biblical context is the hidden center of the person. Understanding gives sight to our inner eyes, and that's how we see God, through understanding. That's how we get pure in heart, through understanding. Blessed are the peacemakers. Spiritual gift is wisdom. A peacemaker ultimately means sharing the gospel with others so that we can live in the peace of Christ. The gift of wisdom touches the mind with truth in a personal way. The soul responds in peaceful affectivity. Absent is that sense sense of restlessness and agitation resulting from a fragmented life. The persecuted. St. Augustine taught that the seven Beatitudes were stages towards living a perfect life, and that the eighth Beatitude, the persecuted, was only possible if we successfully lived the seven previous stages using the seven gifts of the Holy Spirit. So, St. Augustine is saying we cannot withstand persecution without first living the first seven Beatitudes. And that is what St. Augustine says and taught about the Beatitudes and the seven gifts of the Holy Spirit. The Beatitudes, if you want scriptural reference, can be found in Matthew chapter 3. I think that's all for now. We'll see how these two videos work. If you have questions, send me an email. I'm on a bus somewhere, probably, hopefully, in Pennsylvania by now. And hopefully I haven't lost my mind yet. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me and give me feedback on how this goes. Thanks.